How come Memory 0.2 has added 2 more killers to the game's previously one-man roster? Oh, yeah, and like a silver in a place, I guess. And both add the variety in matches that the game has desperately needed before. Colossus is a damage-focused brute with quick lunges and charges to make dangerous combinations of speed and strength. Tripwire is a cool floaty mini-dude focused on careful precision to shoot survivors down, make deadly grabs to extend chase, as well as place traps. With everyone glowing about how the new killers and how their new playstyles are such unique tastes that the game can finally experience, there's a question to be left with an actual, somewhat diverse killer roster. How strong are they amongst each other, statistically at their potential at surviving lobbies, and their general viability? How do they fare amongst each other at slaughtering the Mobians that run amok the various ruined zones, and the various JC Hyena sonic.exe levels? What if I told you, out of all 3 killers in total that this version of the game experiences, there is one that outshines them both pretty significantly with how they play, what their stats are, and how they fare in this new version of gameplay? What if I told you that killer is the very one that everyone can complain about gameplay-wise at the very start of the game from the launch? What if I told you that killer is the very one who started it all?
Wow, I gotta say, you kept pace really well there, bud. I knew you had it in you. Just got one question. Do you want to play with me?
I am God, Fall. You will die by my hand.
2011X, what I consider to be the potential man of the game, potentially the strongest killer, by a pretty decent amount. 2011X in 0.2 got some pretty interesting buffs, as detailed by Romeo in a YouTube video and a comment. According to Romeo, 0.2 had increased 2011X's damage, his sprint speed, lowered his general ability cooldowns, and that also included his M1. These buffs helped him a lot, in my opinion. He used to be some stun-eating sponge who just waited for rage mode to pop up. He was barely a hazard to anyone's safety once people knew how to deal with him, but now he is almost inescapable in chase. He's still jukeable by a decent amount with his M1 cooldowns being a thing in the game. I'm not saying M1 cooldowns are bad, but you can adapt to this with proper M1 timing with survivor jumps to make sure they land into your slash hitbox instead of jumping outside with iframes. The sprint speed definitely helps catch up after being stunned by like Knuckles or Blaze, or if you just like lose all chase together and now need to like run over to someone. And well, I can't notice the general ability cooldowns being that big of a change, but they help. His general kit is what I'd say is very helpful to counteract survivors. God's Trickery and Invisibility are both, I'd say, the best abilities so far for finding survivors and entering chase. Kolossos becomes very sluggish when using his indicator, albeit not by a grand change in speed, but he also loses access to his other abilities in the process of highlighting survivors. This is not a good trade-off in my opinion. At least we're starting to move away from the general area that Colossus highlighted, if they're from quite a distance away. It also leaves him vulnerable to being stunned while he's slowed. Although he's still able to counter, just likely it's hard to focus on stuns when you're trying to find people. Tripwire's sonar is completely unreliable in my honest opinion. It only typically highlights survivors that are close to you, and a game where time is of essence when playing as a killer. This can be very unreliable in fighting survivors who are close to death, who can extend the time when killed if they're a far enough distance, considering people, you know, usually run far and hide on the verge of death. I'd also argue that Colossus and Tripwire have a lot of things that get in the way of chase and general time management compared to 2011X. Colossus uses over 5 seconds of time each indicator, where they are slowed and unable to use abilities, and that's just for a brief moment of ESP. He also suffers from some nasty end lag after using his abilities, making it so where he takes some time to actually make follow-ups to your moves. Charge also just got nerfed to only deal 25 damage instead of 50 for some reason. Well, actually, by the time of recording, it's now 40 damage total, so scrap that. Tripwire has prioritized in designing a minefield hell for survivors to play on, which takes a lot of potential valuable time that can be used in chase. That minefield can be exploited by survivors with ranged abilities or Eggman Shield, and it is a must to take out nearly minutes of time dedicated to chase just to make the map more complex for survivors. 2011X has nearly no time in a match where he's generally out of chase besides trying to ambush people with invisibility or to tech, or just from being stunned. He's always in a state of hunting and damaging survivors in some shape or form, Hell, with invisibility or God's trickery, you can just teleport onto survivors with iframes. So instead of dilly-dallying in a survivor locating hell and like purgatory, 2011X is actually able to be a lot more efficient with time spent in rounds, especially in a game where the killer spends 30% of their matches stunned. But that's a talk for another video. Invisibility and God's trickery are also very effective in avoiding easily telegraphed stuns. While Tripwire has a double jump to leap over the 2 charges of the game, and Kolossos is a counter for people like Sonic, Metal, or Knuckles, 2011X easily takes a cake and best usage of iframes against stunners. I mean, just look at this clip, man. I'd been stunned for like 12 years from that piss beam, if it actually landed. While charge isn't that good of an ability on paper, it's still pretty effective tick damage if no one's around to interrupt you, and I'd say it's the best tool for guaranteeing an instant finish to down or kill survivors, as 2 M1s leave every survivor in-game besides Sonic and Metal on down threshold. It's also your best ability to catch Tails trying to escape with his flight, or your best ability to try and catch Silver at all. I'm not kidding. 2011X is horrible in terms of vertical mobility, which is a large issue on maps, but like, you can't run.
I think I've been patronizing 2011X's kit well enough, despite there being quite a handful of flaws, so to start with general flaws, so 2011X's base kit, unlike Tripwire or Kolossos, 2011X has no passive stats that grant it any vertical mobility. His abilities are good for vertical mobility, but it's not worth it to cross distances like the ground level of you can't run per se to the upper bridge areas because they're so lengthy of cooldowns, and these abilities are extremely useful in chase. Your best bet in vertical mobility is just without any costing any major abilities is likely the invisibility tech, if you could even count that in nearby spring. Charge is also a problematic move because it can be cancelled easily by nearby stunners, so it's not the best opening move for damage, and it does leave you quite wide in the open, unable to move, so if you use charge on someone who is nearby a bunch of stunners, expect for the charge to not be very effective. Charge is also very countable by Eggman and Knuckles, but it's still effective in baiting out their counters, or you can catch them off guard from a good position where they can't hear the buildup nor see it happen, and you can even bait out their counters. I can't think of any other cons to his kit besides stuns post-rage mode being flat out punishing instead of being rewarding pre-rage mode, because every stun pre-rage mode gives you a Chaos Emerald so you can build up into your super form. So I'll move on to my next point of 2011X supremacy.
There is an ability in this game that I have not mentioned yet that you have probably been expecting me to list now. Something that is in neither of the killers in this update compared to in terms of general how game-changing it is still to this day. An ability so effective in killing survivors, I'd argue it alone is enough to overshadow Nerf Colossos' entire kit. 2011X, despite being the best killer mentioned at avoiding stuns, is the only killer who benefits off them. He benefits off them in a way which I believe we both know already. For around 20 seconds of being stunned, it's just enough built-up frustration and temper within the god to build up.
Ready or not, here I come!
Rage mode is the most powerful tool in 2011X's kit and completely warps his playstyle from mentioned before. It's when you should go all out on those closest to death, swinging at them wildly for high amounts of damage, but you still have to be cautious in the playstyle overall. You have a 2-second M1 cooldown. Make sure every hit lands properly, as time is of the essence to reap the rewards of Rage mode. You move crippling slow when detecting people in Rage mode, but it's easy to follow up with a charge to quickly fly over those highlighted to you, and possibly grab them if you don't have a quick iframe tool. Rage mode is the best moment to prioritize finishing off previously down survivors and Metal Sonic. The timer is stopped, so if every kill you gain for this brief moment is more time you have left added in a well-rounded stack to plunge survivors into more hell even after Rage mode ends. Rage mode is also the best moment to tunnel Metal Sonic to death, as stuns are cut by a large amount in duration, and you are fast enough in Rage mode to easily keep up with Metal, even peer pressuring him enough just to cancel any destructive charges if your M1s are spent precisely. I don't think any ability in this game comes close to how impactful Rage mode can be in a round. There is a reason why this dude gets called John Rage mode on a daily basis, and I feel like it'll remain the strongest ability in a long time for the game's meta. I don't even know if Fleetway would compare once the survivors get accustomed to him, to John Rage mode and how overtuned his stats get when he uses the Z key. I've summed up basically all of 2011x's kit and how to use it effectively, and how effective he is in gameplay as a character compared to Colossus and Tripwire, so I'll move on to general gameplay strategy and tips. Typically what I do as 2011x still is attempt to down as much people I can before entering Rage Mode, and using the time and resources I have in Rage Mode to finish those individuals off, and getting a great reward in time gained from the ability. If I'm unable to find or focus on another survivor and find myself encountering one I already downed, I kind of just chase them until death. Survivors like Cream and Metal fit this bill, as Cream is easy kill on site material due to being able to restart entire chase progress by healing, and Metal has only one life and he is annoying. I don't want to drag this video on for a long time, so I'll list some tier list photos detailing general difficulty on going against the Survivor's cast as 2011x, what maps are good for him, and his most difficult opponents in LMS. Perhaps this will change. With Colossos and Tripwire being nerfed into nearly statistical dirt, albeit I argue, Tripwire is still a tad bit strong due to being able to create a Minesweeper in OM, and Kolossos also has a really good base stats at the moment and vertical mobility to be a dangerous threat. 2011x easily takes the cake in my opinion as potentially the best killer at the moment. Perhaps this will change when Kolossos receives his adaptation passive to replace his old one. I'm actually really stoked to see how they implement this in game because I'm a big fan of Maharaga, and perhaps this will change when Fleetway gets dropped, or during 2011x's upcoming rework. I only feel one thing being true as of now, however. In a game of executioners and survivors, one
truly is God. And that is Tinky Winky.